Max.
Steve.
So you're a more recent arrival to Kamloops.
Yes.
We go back a few years, so we know each other.
Yeah.
But you're new to most people here. What brought you here to Kamloops?
Well, my wife and I and my kids, we lived in Calgary for a couple of years, just east of Calgary. And we used to come out here for a week once a year to hang out with our in-laws and stuff like that. And last time we were here, we on the way back, we started talking about, it'd be nice to come back to BC. We've always wanted to. It's just the opportunity has never presented itself. So we prayed about it, asked God that, if that was something we should be doing to, make it clear for us.
Yeah,
right?
and you've got your own family living in BC at the time.
My mom and dad and my sister live in BC, right? So we got back to Calgary and I promptly lost my job.
Okay, so that's an answer to prayer.
That was, at the time it was kind of hard to realize that, right? But it was an answer to prayer. And so then we just kind of started the process. I started looking for work here. We were hoping that it would be easier for me to find employment and then we'd be able to move out here on my job. And then my wife could focus on trying to find work afterwards. It didn't end up working out that way. I wouldn't even get a call for an interview or anything.
Wow.
So we prayed some more, and then my wife found a job posting for her line of work. She sent in a resume, and 3 minutes later got a phone call, and they offered her the job on the phone.
Oh, no kidding.
So it was like, okay, I guess this is happening, So we put our house up for sale, got everything going. We moved down here within, I think, about a month from when she got offered the job. We were here. We moved in with my in-laws while we waited for our house to sell in Calgary, and. It took a few months, our house finally sold, and then we stayed with my in-laws.
Now, I know, from a lot of folks, that the housing market is pretty tight here.
Yes.
What was that like, looking for a home here?
It was horrible. There was lots for sale, but just what we figured would be good value for the money that we could afford was just almost unattainable, it seemed.
Okay.
Which was very disheartening. We looked at a lot of places and just like, what? How do people want $500,000 for a place like this, And just when things kind of started to feel like they were getting going and things were falling into place, the pandemic hit. And the entire country just shuttered, right? Which included the housing market here in Kamloops. It was a stalemate for a while. And Steph, because of the restrictions, she was laid off, right? Because dental offices had to close. And then all of a sudden we were just not in a position to buy because neither of us were employed, right? So that was a big blow for us.
And so all these rapid answers to prayer and then
nothing, it seemed anyways, for quite a long time. Our original plan was to only be with our in-laws for 6 months, and we ended up being there for just a little over 11 months.
Okay, well that's an achievement. I know if getting along with family, even if you have the best of relationships, to be in each other's back pockets for that amount of time can be stressful, I imagine. And,
yes, it is stressful. Our in-laws were very gracious in letting us stay there, and we wouldn't have been able to do it if they hadn't been willing to let us do that, right? But it comes with challenges. They're used to living by themselves. They're not used to having 4 extra people in the house, including 2 young children, one who is extremely busy and likes to be noisy early in the morning, right? So it was difficult for all of us to get used to that. That's for sure.
Now, you did eventually find a place.
We did eventually find a place, and that was also an answer to prayer, the way that worked out. I kind of was almost figuratively knocking on doors, socially distanced, but I just kind of heard through the grapevine that some people might be thinking of selling. So the kids and I got on our bikes and we went for a little ride and left a Post-it note on their door that we were interested in looking at their house if they were wanting to sell. And they called us back and said, we're thinking about selling. Would you like to come have a look?
Wow.
And we got there to meet them, and they said that they had been humming and hawing and praying about wondering whether or not it was the right time for them to sell, to move on. They'd been there for 30 years. And they said that they found my note on the door, and it was an answer to prayer for them. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was when Steph and I both knew then. It was like, okay, this is happening, right? So that was wonderful.
And that itself was a bit of a process though too, hey?
It was, yeah. It took about 2 months. They'd been there for an awfully long time. They were big, prominent members in the community, and I think they did quite a bit of humming and hawing over whether this was a right decision for them, even after we had already started forward with the process, right?
Sure.
But it eventually, we stayed vigilant and stayed positive, and the Lord answered those prayers as well, and it worked out.
Now, I know that sometimes looking back, we can see that thread, we can see how, God has sort of led us to this place and has answered our prayers. In the thick of it, though, did you always have that sort of strong faith?
It was wavery, I would say, for sure.
Yeah.
It was extremely difficult. I had, pre-COVID, I had yourself as a support, my wife, my parents, the rest of the church community here.
Yeah.
So it was easier to stay positive,
Yeah.
because you had that support and that encouragement from the community. Once the pandemic hit and everything shut down, it was like all of that was suddenly gone, and it was a lot more difficult. And my in-laws are not religious people, so that's not something that I could even talk with them about.
Okay.
It was, which made it very stressful, because my vision of how I see my life and the way God plays a part in that is just not something that some other people like to hear, right?
Yeah, sure.
So it was just mostly between my wife and I, and we were both stressed right out. So a lot of times I think we just ended up just getting more stressed out whenever we tried to talk, so.
So what sustained you? I mean, we were talking, we had a similar discussion about another topic last night, and a person was saying she was just tempted to get in the van and drive away, like in the face of a big challenge. What gave you hope? What sustained your faith? What kept you going?
I would say it was just the support from my wife, my mom, and you. They're the three people that helped me to stay on track. And I'm not gonna lie, there were times when, we live out in Rayleigh, I thought about running over to the river and just jumping in. I'm done, but it's just not an option. And it's not the way it is. And through the support of you guys and, Steph and my mom and my sister and stuff, it was, it just kind of just kept me going, so.
How do you think that having gone through this experience will affect your approach to the next big, we all have challenges in life, right? We can't avoid that. It's just part of life. The next big challenge you face. Well, how do you think this will
help with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I think that, I already know. It's just because the housing fiasco is over doesn't mean that there haven't been other challenges that have arose.
Yeah.
And I think remembering that that through our faith and through God that we've gotten to where we are so far, and even when we thought that, like, in our wildest dreams we didn't think we'd end up where we did here. Yeah. And to see now that it did work out. Everything was okay. We're all still here. We're all happy and healthy still. It's okay. And I think remembering that's going to make it easier for other challenges. That's for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Max.
You're welcome.
Thanks for sharing some of your story.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.